Well, hey everybody, welcome back to the Ravens Outpost. I wasn't originally going to do a show tonight. I was just in a funk. Um, had a weird day, but all in all, it wasn't a bad day. So I said, you know what? It's kind of therapeutic to get on here and just flap my gums a little bit and just talk. Usually somebody will drop by and say, hey, I know this is last minute. May have somebody drop by, may not. I don't know. Um, Of course, with the title, I got something picked out to talk about tonight, but don't necessarily have to be that. Not tonight, anyway. I've been really curious about children and their ability to interact with spirits, how they see ghosts, how they can interact with entities that we can't see. And I was enlightened by, oh, hey, Ray, I'm hanging in there. I'm hanging in there. How are you doing tonight? I'm hanging in there. Tonight we're talking about kids and the paranormal, ghosts in particular. And kind of curious as why is it they see them and most adults can't, and when is it that they quit seeing them? What age is it? Um, how is it that some can continue to see them and others just stop? It's really weird, right? And a lot of people dismiss it as children having imaginary friends, really active imaginations. And so, I mean, when does that active imagination Rebelicious? That's great. I'd expect no less. No, but kids can see them. Young kids. I thought that too. You think it's an energy thing? I think it could be too. I've been delving into a little bit here and there, like I always do when I get a bug up my hind end, and I'm like, I really need to, search this out. And I was enlightened by a theory that someone had about the psychedelic DMT. Now, it's theorized that in birth and in death, there is a release of DMT. And the theory goes for children that there's an overabundant amount of DMT released into the brain. Their little brains are acclimated to it. And according to this theory, it allows them to see through the veil, if you will. That's right. That's right. That's one of the things I do believe that keeps us from, you know, experiencing that ability. And I've often thought that who's to say that we don't all have that latent ability within us. Some just are more open to it than others. Just like how some people are more athletic than others. How some people are more acclimated to be able to operate a complex technology than others. The pineal gland, I'm glad you brought that up, Ray. The pineal gland is the center of it's going to be the center of my research, and I'm going to be looking into that. I believe the pineal gland is a very powerful tool that if we could access it, it would free us of a lot of these bonds that we've got holding us down. When did the pineal gland stop being so potent? Why did it stop? There's a lot of people who, on outside looking in and just don't have a clue about this stuff. And may be tuning in and wondering, what the hell are you talking about? I believe a lot of chemicals that we ingest on a daily basis, even in trace amounts, are very harmful to us. And one where a lot of people would be like, what? The one big thing that I've stayed away from for a long time is fluoride. I'm glad you brought that up too. Fluoride, they say helps protect the enamel in the teeth and get rid of all this excess bacteria and waste in the mouth from, so on and so forth. But if you look at the properties of fluoride, it's used in rat poison. That tells you anything. And there's a very specific reason why that they say not to ingest it. Okay. Now it's in your mouth. You can't get away from it. You're going to ingest trace amounts of fluoride into your system. Okay. And these same trace amounts of fluoride are put in public water systems to purify the water. So you look on your tube of toothpaste. Most people are using Crest or Colgate or something like that, and I'm not trying to boost any brand. I'm just saying, okay? Just look at it. Directions of use. And it will tell you specifically, don't ingest large amounts of this. City water will kill you. Yeah. I've been free from city water for probably about 4 years now. Staying away from it. Tried like hell to, reawaken my pineal gland, and I think I got a rude awakening. I got a shock when it started to free itself from its atrophy. And I ain't all the way there, nowhere near, but I think it's enough where it's caused me to experience the side effects. Yes, indeed. Fluoride is another of the big lies that they've told us. All of these chemicals that we ingest in our bodies. Even down to, say, our daily vitamin. Our daily vitamins. So what's wrong with daily vitamins? It's the stuff they use to hold all of these chemicals and all these molecules together. How do you think they got all of these different vitamins and minerals in this one itty bitty tablet? mostly if it's not derived naturally, it's not really that good for you. And they put larger amounts. Like clockwork. And they put larger amounts in the tablets, in the gummies, however, because a lot of people can't take those big horse pills, especially when we're talking about omega-3s. You seen the size of those suckers? Lord. And calcium pills. Over the counter is one thing, prescription is another. It's one of those things. I think it. You buy these toothpastes, and we're going to stay on this subject for just a minute now, and we're going to get back to children and their ability to see, and what my theory is, what I was enlightened to. Say the theory is true that DMT is produced in a large amount in a child's brain. They're not tripping all the time. It's because they're used to it. Let's see here. DMT, for those of you who do not know, medical talk is dimethyltryptamine. D or N, dimethyltryptamine. That's what it's called. It's an hallucinogenic tryptamine drug. And sometimes referred to as Dimitri. This drug produces effects similar to those of psychedelics like LSD or magic mushrooms. Okay. But this is, but DMT, I think, is more potent and probably a safer alternative than LSD, and right up there along mushrooms. That's what I'm talking. Now, I've never done that stuff. I never have. But I've been looking into it as how some ancient civilizations actually used this. They had derived it from different plant sources, and they used it in certain ceremonies. And you hear certain celebrities talk about it all the time now. And I hate to keep going back to this dude, but he's a big advocate for the psychedelic, and that is Joe Rogan. He don't care. He's not going to lie to you about it. He's done it. He does it, and he said it's like nothing he's ever experienced before. But to say that, children are fantastic. Their little minds are open to all kinds of things. And, I remember my former stepson, his girlfriend at the time. She had a little brother. He was 10 years old. She was like 15. Okay. No, he wasn't that old. He was like 3. I'll take it all back. He was like 3 or 4. Something like that. I mean, he's still in diapers. Just getting out of them. So he had been about around 2 or 3. Right? Okay. So I remember her telling me a story. Her mom and her baby brother are sitting out on their front porch, and they had this tree outside their house. And I remember her telling me that her little brother said, "Look, what is that man up in the tree?" And I've heard it more than once. I've heard it coming from my son. And I look back and I think about my own experiences, especially when I was younger. How clearly I saw that little girl in the hallway outside my bedroom. I mean, it was just as real as you seeing me right now. I mean, it was that real. She was there, I looked away, and then she was gone. Absolutely, Ray. Hallucinogenics have been used in spiritual practices for millennia. Absolutely, they have. Back when I was a little younger and a lot more naive and very ignorant, I'm not going to call myself stupid. There's a difference between being stupid and ignorant, right? If you want to get into technicalities, verbal judo and all that shit. I think psychedelics now, and this is on my own theory, that in controlled doses would be really good to open your psyche to, bridge the gap between this realm and another. Now, I'm not endorsing this. I'm not saying go out and try this, not by a long shot. This is just a theory. I mean, there were people using it like you say, Ray. People have been using these psychedelics or hallucinogenics, as you say, for millennia. We're still here. They had the Native Americans, the First Nations people used it, and I'm pretty sure they still use it in certain rituals. Take the Sweat Lodge, for instance. You take the Sweat Lodge and you do a spirit quest, you're going to use fasting and exposure to inclement weather and the use of psychedelics to get where you need to go on your vision quest. But DMT is actually something that is produced naturally in the brain. Ray, you brought it up earlier. The pineal gland. This little itty bitty pine cone shaped gland in the brain that is commonly referred to as our third eye. And once you start working on it, I mean, there's several different ways of awakening the pineal gland, if you will, decalcifying it. For one, because of all the chemicals that we ingest, you will notice a difference. I have felt the difference myself in awakening the pineal gland, and I wanted to be more aware. Give me any type of edge I could while I'm out in the woods. When I was boots on the ground, out there trying to hunt for whatever edge I could. To make contact with these people, the Sabe people, the forest folk, as I like to call them. Um, I think some of it worked, but I believe also it's like some people are more available to do this. Um, More likely to be able to do it. Um, but children, it happens. I think it occurs naturally, and with all the introduction of all these chemicals that with whether they're introduced in like our toothpaste, mouthwash, down to the vitamins we give them and the food we feed them. Because we're always, you look at all the preservatives and junk through the processed food, all of it. They're preservatives, just chock full, and about everything we eat. Take that off. Won't have that happen again. But I'm really looking into getting a little bit more in the way of trying to become more spiritually aware. Um, for my own personal mental health. Letting go of a lot of the bullshit and baggage that I'm carrying around. And I think that's something, I do think that's something we all need to do, or should attempt to try and do. Um, get in touch with your inner child, man. You look at how happy they can be and what they can do with so little. I remember I didn't have that much growing up. It wasn't like it is today. Entertainment wasn't as readily available. I mean, you've got the power of the internet at the touch of your fingertips. My son has an iPad. He's had an iPad for years. He fools around on an Xbox. A Berkey? Yeah, that sounds like a good idea. I'm going to write that down. Hmm. All right. I'm going to give it a try, Ray. I'm going to give it a try. Exactly. We didn't have it. We didn't have video games when I was growing up. I mean, if you had a video game console in your house, you were rich. Atari, that was the thing. I remember um, a buddy of mine had an Atari, and another buddy of mine had a PC, and I'm telling you, it was huge and had very little in the way of any type of memory like today. Yeah, you can have video games, go outside and get sick. I used to drink out of a water hose. It wouldn't be the first time. Be outside playing, a bunch of us kids. Go over, turn on the outside spigot, and there's a hose hooked to it. And you know it's just been sitting there for a while. Sometimes it'll be sitting baking in the sun. You just let it run for about, I don't know, about a minute. Especially in the summertime. And you just drink out of the hose. I'm gonna tell you right now, I've let the world get to me, and I'm fed up with it, to be honest. And if I could, I'd just shut it all down. I'd take my wife and my kid and head out west somewhere and build me a cabin, live off the land. I know how to plant a garden. I know how to hunt. I know how to fish. I put meat and vegetables on the table. But, you know, I was thinking today, my son's come to me with some, his imagination is out there. I've told you before, my son is autistic. And I am breaking the chains a little, one link at a time. And I need to get out of it. And I'd like to see more people out of it. I see so many people wrapped up in so much trivial nonsense. And caught up in some type of tribal, political group think. I don't know. That mass hypnosis that we were talking about the other night. It really does break my heart to see some people that I care about dragged down and chained up. I was for example, I'm going to get off the subject for a little bit. For example, when we're talking about how people are so brainwashed and so tied to the wheel of the military industrial complex, and that is anywhere in the world. I was seeing where they were doing a cold case type investigation of Anne Frank and who really turned her and her family in. And according to the sources, they figured out it was a Jewish British businesswoman who found out about them being hidden in that attic and turned them into the Nazis. I saw a disturbing video the other day, and these French Canadian children were being interviewed, and they were talking about turning people into the law, wanting them arrested and incarcerated for not taking the jab. That's frightening. That really is. It was some real children of the corn shit. Looking at these poor kids like, God damn, you people are really fucking these kids up. Well, that's how you do it. You can control the children, you control the future. And History is definitely written by the victors. It's a weird subject we're talking about tonight. And probably one of the reasons why, I'm looked at with a side eye from a lot of these other people who are so called researchers and whatnot. And I perfectly honestly don't give a shit. That's what, not what the Ravens Outpost is all about. And talk about all kinds of stuff. I'd like to try and keep it on the paranormal because it's my escape from all the other political bullshit that I ingest on a daily basis. But you're right, Ray. Psychological warfare. And get them when they're young. That's exactly right. The Hitler Youth. The little brown shirts running around in uniforms looking like Cub Scouts with billy clubs. Frightening. It really is. And I don't understand why this doesn't make people fighting mad. Initially, I mean, looking back and logically looking at things and seeing how people are so laser focused on tribal nonsense. But we're tribal people. I don't know how to get around that. But lines have definitely been drawn in this country. And as we were talking about the other night, I do believe these lines have been etched in sand that's been poured into concrete. It's going to harden. What I'd like to see is somebody break that concrete up and bring us all together. I don't know. I just get really frustrated. I watched Ray. I'm glad you brought that up too. Look, I watched a clip from it was in New York. Pretty sure it was in New York, and there was a lot of people protesting the mandates, right? Um, the school system, the mask mandates, and all this other stuff, the vaccine, and all of it. I am not anti-vax. I'm going to put it to you that way. If you want to put some type of foreign material that you do not know of or has been tested thoroughly enough in your body, that's entirely your business. It's also my business if I decide I do not want to take that thing right now because it's not fully tested. Talk to your doctor. That's what I recommend. If you have any notion, any doubts, concerns, questions, talk to your doctor. Don't rely on somebody from, a talking head on the internet. And you're right. It worked then and it's working now. Our school systems are propagandized, and it really is. And this lady says she was talking about how a school system has been screwed up for many years. She was an educator for 25 years, she said. 25 years. Okay. And she says the school system had been teaching her kids the right stuff for years. I believe that. Propaganda. I don't want to sit here and broadcast to the internet and tell everybody how I feel about some certain subjects and what action I'm going to take on certain matters, but I believe in freedom, personal freedom, and freedom of choice. Educate yourself. So, with that rant being over, and get back to let's see. They fired a teacher in Texas for adding in a course on the Constitution. What? Now, people talk about Texas and, what a free state it is, and I call bullshit. Texas? Mm-hmm. Okay. Screw it. this program usually takes on a mind of its own. It gets derailed pretty quick. But let's go ahead and talk about it, shall we? What happens here is that these leftists, these hardcore leftists, leave their own fucked up state. They got fucked up by the decisions they made and the votes they cast to fuck up their state. And when they realize it infringed on everything they were trying to do, they want to move out of it. And they look at these, they move out of the blue state and move to a red state. And what did? They bring their baggage with them, and they bring their fucked up ideas with them, and they want to turn that state blue. And then they want to fuck up that state. Don't repeat the sins of the past. Learn from your mistakes. You see what the hell your ignorant choices have led you. Don't make them again. And don't be advocating for the same bullshit in a damn good state that you fled to escape the state you were living in, that you screwed up by your own stupid ass decisions, choices. Just don't do it. There's been so much talk about a peaceful divorce in this country, where the lines have been drawn so definitively. Exactly. These lines have been drawn so definitively. There's no way around it. There are people whose ideology has been so firmly set in stone, there's no convincing them otherwise. They they drank the Kool-Aid. And they believe what they've been told. And that some of these people I know personally that have in the past showed blatant mistrust for our government, preaching the government's doing this and our government's doing that and blah, blah, blah. But now it's like, do what the government tells you to do and we'll be fine. Fear. Fear. All right, take a look at this. Read this and see if it doesn't sum everything up. The masses have never thirsted after truth. Whoever can supply them with illusions to ease their master, who is easily their master. Whoever attempts to destroy their illusions is always their victim. And that's short, and that short idea, it sums up everything that's been going on here. And anyone who is free thinking, I don't like using that term woke because it's fucked up SJW ideological bullshit. Go woke, go broke. You heard that? This country's in trouble. Big trouble. And it's been predicted that it's gonna come asunder. But this has been in the works. Yeah, exactly. You're absolutely right. Eisenhower, in his farewell speech, gave everyone a warning about the military industrial complex and what to do to keep it reined in. Did we do that? No. Kennedy talked about it. Reagan talked about it. I saw a speech he gave, I think it was at the UN, and he was talking about, he asked, so what kind of outside existential threat is it going to take to bring us all together? What type of, and it was interesting that he used these words, okay? What type of alien outside universal threat is it going to take to bring us all together? I don't know. It's going to take something. Oh, you remember that? You've seen it too. I think it was in Linda's latest show. Oh my goodness. Excuse me. Give me just a minute. I want to see if I can find it. Okay. Project Blue Beam? I'm not familiar with Project Blue Beam. Hmm. I'll have to go through and I found the video clip, but I don't know. Fake alien invasion. Yeah. Okay. I see that. False flag attacks get people to react. Some people who theorize about 9/11. That was orchestrated by our own government. That's some shit. To give us the green light to go over there to the Middle East and do whatever the hell it was we were doing over there for all these years. 20 years. 20 years. I agree, Ray. I agree. You know, I'm just going to call it what it is, the lie. The big lie. You know, we'll get right back around to it. I wanted to get off of it tonight, but Ray done stirred it up. We are stupid and violent. You know, according to some, that maybe the Earth is just one great big scientific experiment that's left to be observed occasionally by outside forces. I mean, we could talk about this a lot. But, you know, mankind is wrapped up in their own bullshit. So much so that they can't see the facts when they're presented to them. But it's too late now. It's too late now. You done got me stirred up. It's too late now. No. I done closed out my page. Oh, yeah. Genetic modification, hybrids. You want to go down? Let's go down the rabbit hole, shall we? I think I'm going to rename the show Going Down the Rabbit Hole instead of Kids and Ghosts and all that stuff. It's taking a trip down the rabbit hole. Genetic modifications. Human alien hybrids. And some of the theories out there about the chimeras that have been created, that the Sabe are possibly one of them. And this has been going on for centuries. Not decades, centuries upon centuries. Thousands and thousands of years. As you would say, Ray, a millennia. Come on in, Alice. That's right. Let's take a ride. Buckle up. Buckle up, Buttercup. Here we go. We're going to talk crazy now. It's Friday night. Saturday morning. However you want to look at it. Here on the East Coast. This is one of the things that really grinds my gears. And governments are wrapped up in secrecy and cover-ups. That's how they maintain control. Anunnaki. Mm. The Emerald Tablets? Yes. The Anunnaki, the Emerald Tablets. The bloodline. Living thousands of years. It's it really does amaze me at how a lot of these, there are people out here right now searching for the truth, and they're honestly doing it. They're honestly coming forward with scientific proof of their theories of alien influence on this planet. Yeah, yeah, me too, Ray. And it all started for me when I had my run-in with Sasquatch. And it started with me trying to figure out what they were and listening to other people, you know. Um, yeah, it's kind of crazy, ain't it? Almost all presidents, kings, and queens are related. It's crazy. You know, I think it's why you either love him or you hate him. I don't give a shit. But fact's a fact. As a person, Trump ain't the greatest one in the world. He's got his flaws. He's a old New York Democrat, businessman, multi-billionaire, who at first run his dad's company into the ground and went bankrupt. He was bankrupt at one point in time, but he was able to pull himself out and build it back up. I think he was outside the sphere. And the reason why he got attacked so hard, harder than any other president I've ever seen attacked before in my life on this planet, is because he wasn't supposed to win that election. He wasn't supposed to win it. In 2016, Hillary Clinton was slated to win the election. She was going to be the first female president. Moreover, she was going to be another Democrat in office who was going to lead this country down to another road to ruin, keep us in all these endless wars. Trump got in, he straightened a lot of stuff out. Now, he did a few things in there that I wasn't fond of. Look, I mean, I'll call it like it is. But there are normal, everyday, salty of the earth, blue collar individuals in this country who said they had a much better time with him in office. Within the second year, we started to feel the effects of how good we were going to have it. And the powers that be said, what the fuck? This guy's actually making these fucktards happy. They didn't like that. You know, I heard that too. That his uncle. Yeah, I heard about that. Wow. It wouldn't surprise me none. Wouldn't surprise me. But this country was on its way to energy independence and financial stability for the first time in 20 years. And because everybody buys the propaganda and the cards have been stacked against them, Orange Man bad from every channel. I don't, if anything, if there wasn't election fraud, it's just the fact that, I mean, granted, I believe there were some. Was there enough to affect the election? I don't know. I couldn't say. But my theory is that there are so many people out there who just have their head in the sand, who just don't pay attention to politics. They believe, they still trust the alphabet soup group, you know, and believe what they've been told. And they weren't voting for Biden, they were voting against Trump. And you look at that poor old bastard. He can barely string a sentence together. Yeah, I do. I remember that. I saw that episode. I saw that episode of the Oprah Winfrey Show where she had him on there and asked him to run. He was like, "No, I'm not going to do that." And he was a Democrat at the time, folks. He just switched to Republican because that's the only way he could get on the ballot to run against Hillary. Because he got tired of seeing how this country was being shit on. And enough, what happened, the Democrat heads let their guard down enough where he was able to slip through the cracks because enough people were actually able to come forward and get him in office. Yeah, I still think it's bad what happened to him. I really think it's bad what happened to Julian Assange too. Let's just throw that one out there since we're on this train. We're gonna look at all that too. Julian Assange is a Julian Assange is a tragedy. It really is. Yeah. Um. Hell, it's just you and me tonight. Looks like, Ray. Complete. I'm gonna have to look some of this stuff up about the Anunnaki and dig a little deeper into that. I mean, I know some, but I don't know a whole lot. And Assange, yeah. There's quite a few people, myself included, that when Trump started pardoning a bunch of people, that he didn't pardon Julian Assange. But I don't know what the future holds for that poor fella. Just really don't. Takes a little bit. Low light. I need a better camera. I mean, it ain't too bad, but it could be better. I know a little bit of this and a little bit of that, enough to know that, we've been lied to for a long time. Indeed, McAfee's another one. I forgot about that one. Yeah. I don't. We've got to stand up. That's why I try and stay on YouTube. Try and get my voice out there if I can. It's got to be a movement. It's got to be many, many people. I mean, more than ever, the phrase united we stand, divided we fall means more now than it ever has. Because the wolves are at the door and they're licking their chops. Right. I said it once, I'll say it again. For those who would, trade their freedom for temporary security, deserve neither and will lose both. Freedom isn't free. And I don't know what it's going to take to wake these soy latte sipping folks up. Hmm. We need to stand together. And it's the only way we're going to save our nation. There's a simple word that you can use. You don't have to threaten anybody. You don't have to get up in somebody's face and wag your finger, ball up your fist. Just sit down and say, no. You need to have the vax. You need to sell your papers. No. No, I don't. No, I don't. You need to. No. Well, you need to. No. Aren't you worried about. No. Say it with me, folks. No. It's really empowering once you feel it. Take a deep breath and let it come right straight from the diaphragm. No. No, 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 no. I'm not doing it. And you can't make me. A giant walks into a garden, he's picking all the fruit off the trees. knocking all the beautiful blooms off. Bees get mad because they're disturbing their source of food. Now, one bee alone ain't nothing. But if the whole hive comes after you, you're screwed. You're done. I'm not advocating for a hive mind. I'm advocating for us to stand together as a nation and fight back against these tyrannical assholes that have had a boot on our neck for so damn long. And while we're on this subject, let's, since the Ravens Outpost is based around the paranormal, I welcome any and all comments. If you think I'm full of shit, just put it in the comments. Anything. I'm open to constructive criticism. I've taken some from some of my peers out here in YouTube land, and it's helped shape how I conduct my business. It's helped shape me. It has helped me to, be more aware of how I try to put my idea across, because I tend to ramble. If I don't have a set agenda, I tend to ramble. Exactly. We're stronger together. And using fear and propaganda to sow seeds of hatred, mistrust. So many bad actors out here who are pushing this garbage to help divide us, keep us down, and keep us susceptible. There are enough people out here who are at first willing to fight, but once they're isolated and alone and beaten down psychologically and physically enough, they will say, enough, I will comply. I can't do it. I love this country too much. I can't do it. But getting back to the paranormal aspect of things, how many of you out there can feel that energy? How many of you out there can feel that there's been a shift in the energy? Remember this, folks. United we stand, divided we fall. And this goes through everything. And I really do. I don't like bringing up, and people would call this politics, but I don't look at it that way. I really don't. I don't look at it that way. I believe it's just a state of the world where we're at, what we're having to deal with as a nation. There are people who will maybe hear a tidbit of what I have to say and just hate my guts for it. You know, earlier I said there's a few people that I've known and talked to that have drank the Kool-Aid and they only buying into the bullshit, but I know who they are deep down. Still love them. Don't want nothing bad to happen to them. No matter why or how, you know, they got to where they're at. I'd still fight for them. To a certain degree. You know, that's one book that I haven't haven't read. Uh, the Book of Five Rings, I own that one. That's a good one. Miyamoto Musashi was playing 3D chess or playing 4D chess. Um, during the Ming Dynasty. I mean, it's just, it was, he knew his business. He did his share of psychological warfare. Yeah, you're right, and that's where it comes down to the civil war we're in right now, and I do fully believe we're in a cold civil war right now. I mean, you look at all the turmoil this country's in, what we're having to face on a daily basis. You know, I can only imagine what it was like back in the day when the first shots were fired and brother was put at pit against brother in this country. Yeah, Ray, and they're not even denying it anymore. They're not hiding it. The masks are off. They're calling themselves the elite, and they're calling themselves the ones who are in charge. And how the sooner we comply, the better off they'll be. And they're pretty much the whole thing is coming on problem, reaction, solution. Exactly. They're calling it the New World Order. I mean, we've been us conspiracy theorists have been sitting around calling this a great reset. The the New World Order, the things to come. Now they're calling it that. They're putting it in publications now. That's what they're calling it, the New World Order, after, putting things in place after COVID. Solutions to our financial, liberation. That I'm sure involves communism. Some type of socialist bullshit. There's a reason why that stuff hasn't ever worked. And for those of you out there who aren't familiar, the basic civics class will help enlighten you on the pitfalls of socialism and how it takes capitalism to get there. He did. He did, and a lot of people, it went right over their heads. It just right over their head. And those who picked up on it were the ones who were in on it. Oh, who weren't then, but maybe are now. It's a sad state of affairs. Indeed, it is. I just wish there were more people out there who gave a shit. Pick up a sign and go down and protest. Lay down in the middle of the road. I'll take a night or two in jail. That's fine with me. I don't care. I just wish there was more we could do. When it comes down to it, I mean, you got big pharma and big tech. A lot of these other big conglomerates who are going against the court ruling. Last time I checked, that was against the law. That was a federal offense. But you got so many spineless individuals running around claiming to be officials, representatives of the people, that it's going to take new blood to get in there and take care of things and get everything done. We got a couple of good ones in there. People who are stirring the pot. But they're just a handful. It's hard for them to stand against the many. And that's on both sides of the aisle. And here lately, one is about as bad as the other. I don't care. Yeah, I'm exactly. Exactly. If the general public ever really knew what the government was doing, there'd be another civil war right here on our home turf. And that's exactly right. Seeing how things went down in the UK this week, how many of you are aware that the fact that the UK has lifted all the mandates? Masks, vaccines, all that shit. Lifted all of it. Business as usual. Let's go back to being normal and trust our people and make the right judgment calls. Like they have been in the past. Like with the flu or viral pneumonia, most people who are sick with it generally tend to stay at home and try and take care of themselves and try not to spread the shit around. It's called being responsible, having respect for your fellow man, and doing the right thing. You don't want your buddy sick. You don't want your sick parents to be even sicker and probably die from whatever it is you're carrying around because of their comorbidity. So you do what's right and you stay home. And if you got to go out, you take the proper precautions to not spread everything around. It only makes sense. But you do it of your own volition. You take care of it yourself. You ain't got big brother saying, you've got to do this and you've got to do that. And yes. Freedom isn't free, folks. And we're going to have to fight for it. And the only way we're going to win is if we stand together and say, no. Just one simple word, no. That can turn into a nah. Then that can turn into no way. And if it got bad enough, you can just say, fuck you. I'm not doing it. But there's been an energy shift. I've felt it. Exactly. Don't French kiss strangers, folks. Wash your hands. Don't cough and sneeze on people. And don't French kiss strangers. Real simple. Exactly. Shit you should be doing all year long. Ah. Mental health issues on a rapid incline. Depression, anxiety. The stress from anxiety alone is enough to cripple you. Exactly. You know, washing your hands and not coughing and sneezing on people, that's a hell of a concept. You're absolutely right. According to people like Little Lord Fauntleroy Fauci, we would have never known how to do that. We couldn't have taken care of ourselves. How have we taken care of ourselves for this long without him, folks? How are we still alive? How is it even possible? What an idiot. I will hand him this. He's been in the game long enough. He knows some about what he's doing. Except all of it's evil. Evil. There's real evil in this world. It takes many shapes and sizes. And as intimidating as, being in a room with a spirit that's slinging shit around, or being out in the woods with a 10-foot tall, 800 to 1,200 pound humanoid that could rip you from limb to limb. I'm more afraid of human beings because I've seen what kind of evil they're capable of. Up close and personal. I've seen it. I've seen that deadpan look, that 1,000-yard stare. That was real. Look at a person and look at you, and you looking into something that has no soul. The pure evil. Yeah, because we drank out of a garden hose. You're damn right. Drank out of a garden hose, rode a bike without a helmet, rode in the back of a pickup truck. Hell yeah. Rode in a car without seatbelts. Oh my stars and garters. Oh my God. You did all that? How are you still alive? There are people who weren't alive today that are voting during 9/11. They didn't know what it was like before. Most people have forgotten. Things were perfect, but we didn't have Homeland Security in the Patriot Act. And we were so ready to hand over our freedom. Here you go. You run all the damn surveillance that you want, as long as it keeps this from happening again. Oh yeah, lead paint. It's probably what's wrong with me now. I had a couple of paint chips in my hand, and then wound up in my mouth. You know how kids go. I don't know. I've talked for an hour and a half, and it's been a long day. Oh. It is now 1:30 a.m. and it's 16 degrees outside. Holy crap. It was a cold day today. It warmed up just enough Wednesday to melt that snow enough to where that night it froze over and there was a hard crust of ice on top of that snow. It was great. Yeah. Yeah, we had better sense than that, right? We had much better sense than that. Why would you put laundry detergent in your mouth? Eat a Tide Pod. What an idiot. I got to bring up my son yet again. 8-year-old autistic child. On a high-end spectrum, granted. But still on a kind of a social level of like a 5-year-old. Down in the basement cleaning up after a mess my dog had made. Got down there and tore up a bunch of stuff. And I was telling my son, I said, there are some dummies out there who eat this stuff. And I held up a daggone Tide Pod, and he said, why would you do that? He said, that's not very smart. I said, oh my Lord, absolutely right. I said, you're my son. You've got a little common sense. You're crazy as a bat, but, you got some common sense. He is an old soul. I have a great nephew who's an old soul. He loves old movies, black and white TV. He looks at the new Batman and he'll say, meh. Adam West and Burt Ward are his Batman and Robin. And he's 8. He's about 5 months older than my son. Yeah, old souls, man. Old souls. And I've got another nephew. He's also autistic. He's an old soul. Great kid. Love him to death. Yeah. Need more people like that in the world. More people like that. Yeah, well, folks, I intended to try and stay on a subject, but, old Rebelicious is a bad influence on me. Well, let's just face it, it's something I've been wanting to get off my chest anyway. So it's one of those nights I'm talking off the cuff and well, I'm telling you, my son's taught me a lot. One of the reasons why I wanted to talk about some of the subject matter I was talking about tonight is because of him. It's right. They're just children. What do they know? Right? You say they've come to teach us, but problem is few listen, and that's absolutely right. They're older, they know better. Excuse me. Well, I'm dragging right now. I think I want to wrap things up and call it a night. And say thank you to everyone who's tuned in. Thank you for everyone that subscribe, hung around to this far, and heard what we have to say. I'm still planning on trying to have a few guests on. Hopefully it won't be so crazy next week. I'm hoping this time next week I'll have a couple people on. We'll have a big discussion. And I'm going to try and put it up to where everybody will get the notification in time. Tonight was just really last minute. Do apologize for that. But Ray, I thank you for hanging out with me again tonight. I do appreciate it. Nice talking to you. Maybe if I go StreamYard next week, maybe oh, you're welcome. I'm honored and flattered that you consider what I have to say and you stick around for it. I try not to think along the lines of political divide. I'm not thinking along the lines of either Democrat, Republican, Libertarian, or whatever. I'm just thinking as a human being. And appreciating the freedoms that we have had. They're slowly being stripped away from us. Little by little. And it's been voluntary. People have voted for it. I just don't understand. And like we talked about earlier, people will go and move from one state that's all fucked up and go to another state and say, yeah, let's fuck this one up too. And wonder why no one wants to have anything to do with them. Well, I voted for this and I voted for that. You did what? You're part of the reason why things are as screwed up as it is? And people get mad. One of the greatest movies of all time. One of the greatest comedy flicks of all time. For me, that is. Friday. Character in there, he's a drug dealer that goes by the name of Big Worm. And one of his lines is, fucking with my money is like fucking with my emotions. You mess with someone's livelihood, that tends to turn them around real quick. No, ma'am, you are not alone. You're not alone. I just wish there were enough people who, tuned in here. I may have hurt myself in the past for, being as free thinking as I am. Yeah, it says I've got 295 subscribers, but the problem is about 200 of those subscribers have just completely forgot about me. They tuned in, they subscribed, and they just forgot that they subscribed to my channel, and that's it. And for whatever reason, either they stepped away from it, they just lost interest, or what have you. But I'm trying to put out the content now, and I don't know where this channel's going. I really don't. I like to stay on, on the path of the paranormal. But you know what? If we stray from it, we stray from it. Here's what I'm thinking. Why limit ourselves? If we truly believe it's all connected, physically, mentally, spiritually, whether it be ghosts, UFOs, cryptids, angels, demons, what have you. If it's all connected, there has to be a reason why. And we've got to look at outside reasoning. Right? I mean, you look at everything that's going on today. Me too. I've had to narrow who and what I listen to. There are shows that I listen to that are entertainment. From time to time, they can be informative, but mostly they're entertainment. There are shows that I used to listen to that are not so free thinking. They'll have informative guests. Good subject matter from time to time, but they refuse to think outside this box. Here, and it's just right there. Right there. And they can't go past that. Exactly. You know, and I like to listen to other people's opinions also. You know, someone who doesn't think always the way I do. And that's fine. I mean, that's how we grow. I mean, that's how my ideas have changed over the years. It's just, we need to grow, we need to stand together, and we need to be strong. And sometimes that strength requires us to bend a little in the wind. Because if we're too rigid, we'll break. You know, this saying goes, the strongest tree is the one that bends in the wind, that can stand the hurricane. Well, there's a hurricane coming, folks. The wolves are at our door. Why? Because they've smelt the blood. We're wounded. We're vulnerable. Because we're divided. Mentally, physically, spiritually divided. And the powers that be have made sure that we try and stay that way. Ray, absolutely. Absolutely. We need to come together and share information, as much information as we can. Now, hell, let's go for the 2 hour mark. 10 more minutes left to go. We're in a storm right now. That hurricane It's beating us up. This channel started out as my own personal vlog, but it's turned into something different. A lot of it's based on because of all of you that have tuned in here and helped me along the way. And that's how I look at it. And I believe you've helped me a lot. Ray, you've been a big contributor. You've hung out and, you stuck it out. That give me a lot of food for thought. So, we've got a long road ahead of us, folks. Let's not mince any words about it. Remember, you can stop a lot of it, but just, gathering up the courage enough to just say no. You do have a big spoon. You got me stirred up right from the bat. But I think I was in a space now anyway. I was ready to just say fuck it and let's just go with it. I wanted to try and stay on the subject I had picked out for discussion tonight. And I'm like, the hell with it. Let's just roll with it. See where it goes. But there's enough people who's got sense enough who could understand where I'm coming from with this. A lot of people like to let's stay on the subject matter. We were talking about a certain individual the other night who I think has been kind of coerced into going down a different road and not getting too far off the beaten path, getting into the woo side of things. Well, I'm firmly in the woo camp. Fuck it. Because it is what it is. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against the powers and the principalities and rulers of the darkness of this world. And we are in spiritual warfare right now. You'd get tired of me real quick. My wife can't even do that. No, we don't have a chance to. We're always doing stuff, but I appreciate that, Ray. I really do. I'm gonna sit down and it's hardcore hitting the books, doing some research. Oh, I am. I've seen a lot of stuff. Miracles. I think it was that night I had both of my nephews on, the one that saw the whatever it was he saw. I want to have him back on. You can talk people blind. My wife said, "You'll talk to a rock if it talk back." I said, probably. But I told the story of my former father-in-law about how he took hold of a live power line, barehanded, whipped it out of the middle of the road, it popping and cracking. Damnedest thing I ever saw. I expected to see the top of his head blow off. I'm not even joking. I'm not even joking. I'm no fun and games, nothing like that. There was enough juice running through that power line to kill him 3 or 4 times over. But he grabbed it. And he grabbed it and whipped it out of the road like it was a garden hose, like it was nothing. He didn't even think about it. And I felt the presence of something powerful at that point. I'll go over that story again next time I'm on, but Ray, it is a quest. It really is. Although there are sometimes I feel like, poor old Don Quixote tilting a windmill, looking for that dragon to slay. Truth's out there, and it's being presented to us on a daily freaking basis. And there's so many people who just choose to ignore it because it's too inconvenient and will upset their paradigm. Turn their world upside down. They would rather believe the lie than accept the truth. Drives me nuts. Wow. Ray, that's a hell of a story. I want to ask you, if I go StreamYard and put that damn link in chat, would you come on and talk to me? Oh, yeah. Impossible. I have seen the impossible. Right. I worked with an old boy. His name was Mike Lewis. He was a hard case at one time, but he was eat up with, maybe? That's not a no. Huh? Maybe? All right. Okay. I can understand if that's just it's a little much. I get it. I get it. I do. Um, I think I could learn a lot from you. I do. Learn a lot. Hell, I've learned a lot already. You've turned me on to so many different things, sent me down different avenues, and thinking, oh shit, this is another hole I'm digging. But it's great. It's answers. Answers to some questions I've had for years. A lot of confirmation. And honestly, I believe sometimes the crazier the answer sounds, the more truth there is to it. Pretty low. All right. Ray, once again, yeah, I can tell. I can tell you've been down the rabbit hole a long time. I've only been down it for a couple of years. It's deep. I had a couple of stories about my dad too, but it's a little odd. But stories I thought were ghost stories, but wound up being something more than that. Probably heard me tell the story before, but what I believe he had an experience with were cryptids. I believe he run into Sasquatch. But I'm gonna leave it here, and hopefully next week we can pick this up. I I really want to try and get more shows in. Open it up for more people to come in, and I welcome everybody to the conversation. I do. We need more. We need more people in this fellowship. We really do. And more people we have in here, the more ideas we can get going, and if we can add to the discussion, maybe find some pieces of that puzzle. Monty. We are the Knights of Ni, and I want a shrubbery. Sound familiar? It's just a flesh wound. Come back here. I'll gnaw your arms off. Oh. It's a huge rabbit, and it had teeth like this. Oh. Oh, yes, indeed. Bring out your dead. Bring out your dead. I'm not dead. What? Bring out your dead. Folks, if you're not familiar with what I'm rambling on about, Monty Python and a Quest for the Holy Grail, you need to check it out. It's great. One of my favorite movies of all time. That and The Life of Brian. The Life of Brian is pretty good. But Quest for the Holy Grail is my favorite. Lord have mercy. Anyway, I want to say goodnight to everybody. You're tuning in after the fact, and you've gotten this far. Thank you. You want to help the channel grow, hit that like button, leave a comment, share it to your friends. If you want more of this content, if you want to be alerted to me when I go live, subscribe. Hit that little notification bell. Hopefully it'll let you know when I'm going live. That's awesome. That's awesome. Shit, you're going to have to get him to come on. Okay, Ray, here's a question for you before I sign off. Does he have any stories? Has he had any paranormal encounters? Ray? 10 years. That's how long me and my wife have been together. Right. Do you have Facebook Messenger? If so, would it be all right if I sent you a message or two? Bounce some ideas off of you. Okay. All right. That's cool. That's cool. That's a healthy balance, though. You know, uh huh. No. All right. I appreciate that. Thank you. Appreciate that. Yeah, may I add you to the list of people I can bounce some ideas off of. I need to get a hold of my buddy Buck. Buck, if you're listening, I'm going to get a hold of you soon, son. I want you on the show. We need to have a conversation. I appreciate that. Thanks, Ray. Thank you. Thank you. All right, everybody. Until next time, I love you, mean it. Night, Ray.